there, my name is Andrea, and I just want to go over real fast my interview with my teacher. So I had actually interviewed a fellow teacher that I know in a public school. Her name is Cassie Mankey, and she is a public school teacher over at Ottawa Lincoln Elementary, which is a preschool for all program. And we talked about some of the students in her care. She does have a couple that have IEPs for developmental delays, and she also has one child that has a 504 plan. A 504 plan is more for environmental accommodations rather than educational accommodations. So she works with this child's 504 plan to create I don't want to call it seating charts because in preschool they don't have seating charts, but they did learn how to use adaptive hearing devices and also recordings. And then she also learned different ways she could, she could make her classroom more friendly for the child who's hard of hearing. She talked about seating arrangements. They talked about loudness, the noise. They got extra speakers. She mentioned that they use closed captionings, and they have different devices that will read that to the child. So that's also interesting. Large print. However, some of these things I feel are a little on using, just because they're in preschool and typically academically reading is not high up on the list, but those are just some things we talked about. So in ways that they gather data, they actually use play-based assessments. Play-based assessments happen, she says the actual assessments happen every 3 months, and then they do documentation and do informal assessments. And then they collect data using their portfolios. And in their portfolio is going to be all their work samples. And throughout the work samples, they'll have different art activities that they do. They do some writing with materials like pens, markers, crayons. So they get to see that progression there. They also work on fine motor. Some samples in their portfolios are cutting samples. And then the binders are organized by trimesters. So that's how the school does it there. And then one of the questions was, how do you use this information to inform your teaching practices and lessons? And she said that she bases her lesson plans off of where the children are struggling, and then their interests from the observation. So things that they are really into, she tries to incorporate into their lesson plan. And then she also tries to incorporate activities on where the child needs some help and assistance in that developmental skill set. I know one of them was being able to write their names, so they've done a lot of writing activities, and they've also done a lot working with letter recognition. So that was great. She said currently she does have at least 10 out of her 18 children that are able to write their full name. Well, their full first name, not full name. Full first name. And then she said some strengths that she sees is that the children are creative, they're curious, and very open-minded. And then as far as the needs of these children, she said that she wishes that they had more resources for the children, such as different materials in their classrooms. And she also said that they wish they had more developmental classes for children that may be struggling. She said it is often hard for children at such a young age to receive those services that are needed because of the ASQs that they use. And they also use what she had stated to be